How many states of the USA include the directional terms north, south, east, or west in their official names? 5. The 5 U.S. states that include directional terms in their names are North Carolina, South Carolina, North Dakota, South Dakota, and West Virginia. These designations often reflect their geographical position relative to an earlier, larger territory or a distinct cultural, political division. What festival is known as Yom Kippur? Day of Atonement. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year in Judaism, observed with a 25-hour fast and intensive prayer. It is also known as the Day of Atonement, emphasizing repentance, atonement, and reconciliation. What color is pure sulfur? Yellow. Sulfur is a non-metallic chemical element with the symbol S and atomic number 16. In its native form, pure sulfur is a bright yellow crystalline solid, known for its distinctive odor. Since the late 1930s, what date has been reserved for the inauguration of a president of the USA? The 20th of January. The 20th Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified in 1933, sets January 20th as the date for the inauguration of the president. This change moved the inauguration from March 4 to shorten the lame duck period. In the southern hemisphere, when does the winter solstice occur? June. The winter solstice in the southern hemisphere typically occurs in June, marking the shortest day and longest night of the year. This astronomical event is caused by the Earth's axial tilt relative to its orbit around the Sun. The USA purchased Alaska in 1867 from which country? Russia. The United States purchased Alaska from the Russian Empire in 1867 for $7.2 million, an event known as Seward's Folly. This acquisition significantly expanded the territorial size of the U.S. and provided strategic access to the Arctic and Pacific regions. Who was the British sugar merchant who donated his collection of 65 paintings to the nation in 1892, together with cash to provide a building to house them? Sir Henry Tate. Sir Henry Tate was a prominent British sugar merchant and philanthropist. His significant donation of 65 paintings to the nation in 1892, along with funds for a dedicated building, led to the establishment of the Tate Gallery, now Tate Britain, a cornerstone of British art. After leading a rebel army for 20 years, Ahmad Sukarno was elected the first president of which country after it was granted independence in 1949? Indonesia. Ahmad Sukarno, often known simply as Sukarno, was a pivotal figure in Indonesian nationalism, leading its struggle for independence from Dutch colonial rule. He became Indonesia's first president in 1949, shaping the nascent nation's early post-colonial policy and non-aligned stance during the Cold War. What was the stage name of Jean-François Gravelet, a French acrobat who crossed Niagara Falls in 1859 on a tightrope 160 feet above the water? Charles Blondin. Charles Blondin, born Jean-François Gravelet, was a renowned French acrobat celebrated for his daring tightrope walks. His most famous feat involved crossing Niagara Falls multiple times in 1859, often incorporating various stunts, cementing his legacy as a master showman and pioneer of performance art. Which 19th-century French artist is best known for his illustrations for the Bible, Paradise Lost, Dante's Inferno, Don Quixote, and the works of Rabelais and Balzac? Gustave Dore. Gustave Dore was a highly influential 19th-century French artist, engraver, and illustrator. He is particularly celebrated for his prolific and dramatic illustrations that brought classic literary works like the Bible, Dante's Inferno, and Paradise Lost to life for millions, profoundly shaping visual interpretations of these texts. What is the name of the 3 bones that make up a human finger? Phalanges. Phalanges are the bones that form the fingers and toes in humans and other vertebrates. Each human finger, excluding the thumb, typically consists of 3 phalanges, proximal, intermediate, and distal, articulating to allow for dexterity and grip. What name is given to a 25th wedding anniversary? Silver. The 25th wedding anniversary is traditionally known as the silver anniversary, signifying the enduring value and brilliance of a quarter-century of marriage. This tradition of associating precious materials with anniversary milestones dates back centuries, with specific materials representing increasing strength and worth over time. In which general direction would one sail from New York to London? East. When sailing from New York to London, one would generally travel in an easterly direction. London is situated east of New York City across the Atlantic Ocean, making this fundamental geographical understanding key for navigation and global positioning. In which country was the Boer War fought? South Africa. The Boer Wars, primarily the Second Boer War, 1899 to 1902, were fought in South Africa between the British Empire and the 2 independent Boer republics. These conflicts were a pivotal part of British imperial expansion and significantly shaped the history of modern South Africa. What is the common name for a Lepidoptera pupa and its silky cocoon? Chrysalis. A chrysalis is the pupal stage of butterflies, an order within Lepidoptera, characterized by a hardened, often camouflaged casing. Moths, another order within Lepidoptera, typically spin a silken cocoon to protect their pupa during metamorphosis. What is the name of the French National Theatre, established in 1680? Comédie Française. The Comédie Française is the national theatre of France, established in 1680 and one of the world's oldest active theatres. It is renowned for its preservation and performance of classical French repertoire, particularly the works of Molière, Racine, and Corneille. Hudson Bay is a large inland sea in which country? Canada. Hudson Bay is a vast, shallow inland sea located in northeastern Canada, serving as a major geographical feature of the country. It is connected to the Atlantic Ocean via the Hudson Strait and the Arctic Ocean via the Forks Basin and Fury and Hecla Strait. What name was given to 6 labourers in Dorset, England, who formed a Friendly Society of Agricultural Labourers, and in 1834 were sentenced to 7 years transportation for administering unlawful oaths? The Tolpuddle Martyrs. The Tolpuddle Martyrs were a group of 6 agricultural labourers from Dorset, England, who were arrested and transported to Australia in 1834 for forming a trade union. Their case became a cause célèbre for the early trade union movement, highlighting the struggle for workers' rights and leading to widespread protests that eventually secured their pardon. The Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood was primarily associated with what artistic medium? Painting. The Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood was a group of English painters, poets, and art critics founded in 1848, aiming to reform art by rejecting academic conventions. They emphasized intense detail, vibrant colors, and moral narratives, primarily through their paintings. What pejorative term did Southerners apply to Northern speculators who moved to the South during the Reconstruction era following the American Civil War? Carpetbaggers. Carpetbaggers was a derogatory term used by Southerners for Northerners who moved to the South after the American Civil War during the Reconstruction era. These individuals were often perceived as opportunistic interlopers seeking to exploit the war-torn region for personal gain, carrying their belongings in cheap, carpetbags. What attaches muscles to bone? Tendons. Tendons are strong, fibrous connective tissues that serve to connect muscles to bones. They are crucial for transmitting the force generated by muscle contractions to the skeletal system, enabling movement. Why did Washington cross the Delaware to Trenton on the night of the 25th of December 1776? To attack British troops. George Washington's crossing of the Delaware River on Christmas night 1776 was a crucial strategic move during the American Revolutionary War. It led to a surprise attack on Hessian mercenaries stationed in Trenton, New Jersey, resulting in a decisive American victory and significantly boosting Continental Army morale. Which African city has the largest population? Lagos. Lagos, a major port city in Nigeria, holds the distinction of being the most populous city in Africa. It is a significant economic hub and experiences rapid urbanization, contributing to its large and growing population. Which Swiss theologian, philosopher, author, organist and medical missionary won a Nobel Peace Prize in 1952? Albert Schweitzer. Albert Schweitzer, a remarkable polymath, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1952 for his philosophy of reverence for life and his dedicated humanitarian work as a medical missionary in Africa. His ethical teachings and practical efforts greatly influenced global thought on human responsibility and compassion. Cleopatra is reputed to have killed herself because of the death of whom? Mark Antony. Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Egypt, committed suicide following the defeat of her forces and those of her Roman ally Mark Antony by Octavian. Her death in 30 BCE marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the beginning of Roman rule over Egypt. Death Valley is in which state of the USA? California. Death Valley is a desert valley located in eastern California, within the Mojave Desert. It is renowned for its extreme climate, holding records for the hottest air temperature recorded on Earth and being the driest place in North America. What is the name for 40-foot, 12-meter, high round forts, designed to accommodate a small garrison with cannon, constructed on the English coast and the Channel Islands at the time of threatened invasion by Napoleon? Martello Towers. Martello Towers are small defensive forts built across the British Empire during the 19th century, specifically to defend against potential Napoleonic invasions. Their robust, circular design and thick walls made them highly resistant to artillery fire, serving as strategic coastal defenses. Most of Yellowstone National Park is in which state? Wyoming. Yellowstone National Park, established in 1872 as the world's first national park, is predominantly located in the state of Wyoming. Portions of the park also extend into Montana and Idaho, encompassing vast wilderness areas and unique geothermal features. A U.S. Senator is elected for a term of how many years? 6. A United States Senator is elected to serve a 6-year term. This longer term length, compared to the 2-year term for representatives, is intended to provide greater stability and a more deliberate approach to legislation, insulating senators from short-term political pressures. What is the name of the small village near Calcutta where the first hollow-nosed rifle bullets were made? Dum Dum. Dum Dum is a locality near Kolkata, formerly Calcutta, in India, historically significant for the British Indian Army's arsenal. It became notable for the development of the Dum Dum bullet, a type of expanding bullet designed to cause greater injury, which later led to its controversial restriction in international warfare. Late in July 2009, what phenomenon affected the daily lives of people in the cities of Chengdu, Chongqing, Shanghai, and Hangzhou, China? Solar eclipse. In July 2009, a total solar eclipse, the longest of the 21st century, traversed a wide band across Asia, including major Chinese cities like Shanghai. This rare astronomical event drew significant public attention and was observed by millions, offering valuable opportunities for scientific study. Into which body of water does the river Ganges flow? Bay of Bengal. The river Ganges, one of the most sacred rivers in Hinduism, originates in the Himalayas and flows across northern India and Bangladesh. It finally empties into the Bay of Bengal, forming a vast delta with the Brahmaputra River. Who is the author of the fairy tale, The Princess and the Pea? Hans Christian Andersen. Hans Christian Andersen was a celebrated Danish author best known for his fairy tales, including The Little Mermaid, The Ugly Duckling, and The Snow Queen. His works have been translated into more languages than any other book apart from the Bible. Where is the notable rock formation known as the Giant's Causeway located? Northern Ireland. The Giant's Causeway is a unique geological formation of interlocking basalt columns, a result of an ancient volcanic eruption. Located on the Antrim coast of Northern Ireland, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a popular tourist attraction. Which instrument was the Czechoslovakian composer Antonín Dvořák most proficient in? Violin. Antonín Dvořák was a prominent Czech composer of the Romantic era, known for his symphonies and operas. Although he played the viola professionally in orchestras, he demonstrated proficiency in the violin, an instrument he was taught from an early age. Which term designates the period of British history from 1901 to 1910? Edwardian. The Edwardian era in British history refers to the reign of King Edward VII, which lasted from 1901 to 1910. This period is often characterized by significant social and technological changes, a sense of optimism, and a distinct cultural style. Which of the Great Lakes is situated furthest to the east? Ontario. Lake Ontario is the smallest in surface area of the 5 Great Lakes of North America and is the only one not shared with Michigan. It is also the easternmost lake in the Great Lakes system, connecting to the Atlantic Ocean via the St. Lawrence River. Which saint's day is celebrated on March 1st? Saint David. March 1st is Saint David's Day, commemorating Saint David, Devi Sant, the patron saint of Wales. The day is observed with parades, traditional Welsh dress, and the wearing of daffodils or leeks, traditional symbols of Wales. What is the oldest city of European origin, established in 1565 by Pedro Menendez, that still exists in what is now the USA? St. Augustine, Florida. St. Augustine, Florida, founded in 1565 by Spanish Admiral Pedro Menendez de Avilés, is the oldest continuously inhabited European established settlement in the United States. It served as the capital of Spanish Florida for over 200 years and holds significant historical importance in early American colonial history. A peace camp was established at which RAF base in Berkshire, England, from 1981 to 2000 to protest at nuclear weapons being sited there? Greenham Common. The Greenham Common Women's Peace Camp was a series of protest camps established outside the RAF Greenham Common base in Berkshire, England, primarily from 1981 to 2000. These protests, predominantly by women, aimed to prevent the deployment of nuclear cruise missiles at the base and became a symbol of the anti-nuclear movement and feminist activism during the Cold War. What is used to find the pitch of a note? Tuning fork. A tuning fork is a U-shaped acoustic resonator used to produce a fixed, specific pitch when struck. It vibrates at a precise frequency, making it an essential tool for musicians to tune instruments and for scientists to study sound waves and resonance. Chicago is known as what? The Windy City. Chicago is famously known as the Windy City, a nickname that emerged in the late 19th century. While often attributed to the city's strong lakefront breezes, some historians suggest it also referred to the windy, or boastful nature of its politicians and residents during its rapid growth. The term, vascular, is associated with what? Blood vessels. The term vascular refers to a system of vessels that transport fluids, such as blood or sap, throughout an organism. In animals, particularly humans, it is primarily associated with blood vessels, which form the circulatory system vital for nutrient and oxygen delivery. According to legend, what did Saint Patrick drive out of Ireland? Snakes. According to popular legend, Saint Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, is credited with driving all snakes out of the country. While this is a symbolic tale, representing the triumph of Christianity over paganism, geological and paleontological evidence confirms that Ireland has never naturally harbored snakes due to its post-glacial isolation. Who, at the end of her Olympic career in 1964, held the record for winning the most Olympic medals at 18 and the record for most individual medals, 14 outside of team events, in Olympic history? Larissa Latinina. Larissa Latinina, a Soviet gymnast, holds the record for the most Olympic medals won by a female athlete with 18 medals, including 9 gold. She dominated women's gymnastics in the 1950s and 1960s, participating in 3 Olympic Games, 1956, 1960, 1964, making her a historical figure in sports. Where was nursing pioneer Florence Nightingale, known as the Lady with the Lamp, born? Florence, Italy. Florence Nightingale, a foundational figure in modern nursing, was born in Florence, Italy, in 1820. She rose to prominence during the Crimean War, where her efforts significantly improved sanitation and patient care, laying the groundwork for professional nursing. Which country, that achieved independence in 1962, has had leaders named Milton Obote and Idi Amin Dada? Uganda. Uganda gained independence from British rule in 1962. Milton Obote served as its first prime minister and later president, while Idi Amin Dada, a military officer, overthrew Obote in 1971 and ruled as dictator until 1979, marking a turbulent period in the nation's history. The most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win but to take part, just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered but to have fought well. This statement is known as what? The Olympic Creed. The Olympic Creed, famously attributed to Pierre de Coubertin, the founder of the modern Olympic Games, encapsulates the core philosophy of Olympism. It emphasizes the spirit of participation, fair play, and the pursuit of excellence over mere victory, promoting universal understanding and friendship. Georges Leopold Cuvier is associated with which science? Paleontology. Georges Cuvier, a French naturalist and zoologist, is widely considered the father of paleontology and comparative anatomy. He established the concept of extinction as a fact and laid much of the groundwork for modern zoological classification and the study of prehistoric life. Who was the British engineer who designed the first television system suitable for broadcast transmission in 1939? John Logie Baird. John Logie Baird was a Scottish engineer and innovator who demonstrated the first working television system in 1926. His continued efforts led to the development of the first television system capable of broadcast transmission in 1939, a significant milestone in communication technology history. On March 29, 1971, Lieutenant William Calley was found guilty by a court-martial for murdering 20 civilians in 1968. Where did this event occur? My Lai, Vietnam. The My Lai massacre was a horrific incident during the Vietnam War where unarmed Vietnamese civilians were brutally killed by U.S. Army soldiers on March 16, 1968. Lieutenant William Calley was the only officer convicted for his role in the massacre, which significantly damaged America's reputation and further fueled anti-war sentiments. John F. Kennedy International Airport, Newark Liberty International Airport, and LaGuardia Airport all serve which major city? New York. These three prominent airports collectively serve the New York metropolitan area, making it one of the world's busiest air transportation hubs. John F. Kennedy International Airport, JFK, is a major international gateway, while Newark Liberty, EWR, and LaGuardia, LGA, also handle extensive domestic and international traffic. What classic novel, written by Alexandre Dumas, features Edmond Dante's imprisonment in the Château d'If? The Count of Monte Cristo. The Count of Monte Cristo is a renowned adventure novel by French author Alexandre Dumas, first published in 1844. It narrates the story of Edmond Dantes, who is unjustly imprisoned, escapes, acquires a vast fortune, and meticulously exacts revenge on those who conspired against him. The Drake equation is used to calculate the potential number of what? Extraterrestrial civilizations in the Milky Way. The Drake equation is a probabilistic argument formulated by Frank Drake in 1961, aimed at estimating the number of active, communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. It considers various astrophysical and biological factors to arrive at this theoretical estimation. To which country do the famous Galapagos Islands belong? Ecuador. The Galapagos Islands are volcanic archipelagos situated in the Pacific Ocean, approximately 1,000 kilometers off the coast of Ecuador, to which they belong politically. Famous for their unique and diverse endemic species, these islands played a crucial role in Charles Darwin's development of the theory of evolution by natural selection. Jacqueline du Pré was celebrated for playing which musical instrument? Cello. Jacqueline du Pré was an exceptionally talented British cellist renowned for her passionate and intense performances of classical music. Her brilliant career was tragically cut short by multiple sclerosis, but her recordings, particularly of Elgar's cello concerto, remain iconic and highly regarded. In 2008, with 193 UN member states, how many nations were represented at the Summer Olympics? 204. The number of participating nations at the Olympic Games often exceeds the number of United Nations member states because the International Olympic Committee, IOC, recognizes national Olympic committees from some non-sovereign territories or regions. In 2008, 204 national Olympic committees were represented at the Beijing Summer Olympics. What type of visual art is often referred to as the art of writing? Calligraphy. Calligraphy is a visual art form focused on the design and execution of lettering. It involves using various writing tools to create beautiful and expressive characters, embodying a long history across diverse cultures and languages. Which currently reigning royal family belongs to the House of Orange? Dutch. The House of Orange-Nassau is the reigning royal dynasty of the Netherlands. Originating from the German House of Nassau, it gained prominence in the 16th century and has played a central role in Dutch history, particularly during the 80 Years' War. What is the family name of the rulers of Monaco? Grimaldi. The House of Grimaldi is the ruling princely family of Monaco. This ancient Genoese family first established control over Monaco in 1297 and has maintained sovereignty, making it one of Europe's longest reigning dynasties. The large, wrinkled leaves of which plant provide digitalin, a compound used in the treatment of heart conditions? Foxglove. Foxglove, Digitalis purpurea, is a plant known for its medicinal properties, particularly in treating various heart conditions. Its leaves contain cardiac glycosides like digitalin and digoxin, which are used to strengthen heart contractions and regulate heart rate. What institution did Sir Robert Peel establish in London in the early 19th century? Metropolitan Police Force. Sir Robert Peel, often regarded as the father of modern policing, established the Metropolitan Police Force in London in 1829. His efforts laid the foundation for modern policing principles, including the idea of policing by consent and an unarmed civil force. A United Nations report published in July 2007 identified which country as having the highest rate of marijuana use among industrialized nations, at 14.1% of the population. Canada. In its 2007 World Drug Report, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, highlighted global patterns of drug use. The report indicated that Canada had the highest prevalence of cannabis use among industrialized countries at that time. Who discovered Titan, a moon of Saturn, in 1655? Huygens. Christian Huygens, a prominent Dutch astronomer, mathematician, and physicist, discovered Titan, Saturn's largest moon, in 1655. His observation marked a significant milestone in telescopic astronomy and the study of the solar system. Which company acquired the Jaguar and Land Rover brand names in March 2008? Tata Motors, India. In a major global automotive acquisition in March 2008, India's Tata Motors purchased the iconic British luxury car brands Jaguar and Land Rover from Ford Motor Company. This strategic move significantly expanded Tata Motors' international presence and luxury vehicle portfolio. Mount St. Helens is located in which state of the USA? Washington. Mount St. Helens is an active stratovolcano situated in Skamania County, Washington, in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States. Its catastrophic eruption on May 18, 1980, is one of the most significant volcanic events in U.S. history. Which city hosted the Commonwealth Games in 2002? Manchester. Manchester, England, hosted the 17th Commonwealth Games from July 25 to August 4, 2002. These multi-sport games brought together athletes from 72 nations and territories of the Commonwealth. Who published his method of heating food to kill microorganisms and sealing the container in 1810? Nicolas Appert. Nicolas Appert, a French inventor, is credited with inventing the process of airtight food preservation. In 1810, he published The Art of Preserving All Kinds of Animal and Vegetable Substances, detailing his method of sealing food in jars and heating them to prevent spoilage. What term describes the predisposition of members of certain families or races to suffer from specific diseases? Diathesis. Diathesis refers to an inherent constitutional or genetic predisposition to develop a particular disease or condition. It implies an individual's susceptibility to a disorder when exposed to certain environmental or lifestyle factors. Liberia is a country located on which continent? Africa. Liberia is a country situated on the West African coast, bordering Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Côte d'Ivoire. It is notable for being the first independent republic in Africa, founded by freed slaves from the United States. Who was the heroine who rescued 9 people from the wreck of the Forfarshire and took them to the Longstone Lighthouse, one of the Farne Islands, on September 7, 1838? Grace Darling. Grace Darling was an English lighthouse keeper's daughter renowned for her bravery. On September 7, 1838, she and her father risked their lives in a rowing boat to rescue survivors from the wrecked steamship Forfarshire, cementing her status as a Victorian national heroine. Which archipelago, formerly administered by Madagascar, includes the islands of Mayotte, Anjou, Grande Comore, and Moheli? Comora. The Comora Islands, or Comoros, are an archipelago of volcanic islands situated off the southeastern coast of Africa in the Indian Ocean. While the Union of the Comoros is an independent nation, Mayotte remains an overseas department of France. What popular name was given to the British Eighth Army in World War II? Desert Rats. The British Eighth Army earned the popular nickname, Desert Rats, for their distinguished service and tenacity during the North African campaign of World War II. They were instrumental in key battles like El Alamein, pushing back Axis forces. What bodily process breaks food down into nutrients? Digestion. Digestion is the complex physiological process by which the body breaks down food into smaller molecules and absorbable nutrients. This process involves mechanical and chemical actions, occurring primarily in the gastrointestinal tract, to extract energy and essential substances. Who was the British general who took Charleston, South Carolina, in 1780 during the American War of Independence? Sir Henry Clinton. Sir Henry Clinton was the commander-in-chief of the British forces during the American War of Independence. He successfully captured Charleston, South Carolina, in May 1780, marking one of the most significant British victories in the southern theatre of the war. Andalusia, Catalonia, Galicia, Aragon, Castilla y León, Castile-La Mancha, and Extremadura are autonomous communities in which nation? Spain. These are all distinct autonomous communities that constitute the administrative divisions of Spain. Spain is organized into 17 autonomous communities and 2 autonomous cities, each with varying degrees of self-governance. What title was taken by Napoleon Bonaparte on the 2nd of December 1804? Emperor of the French. On December 2, 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of the French at Notre Dame Cathedral, marking the official establishment of the First French Empire. This event solidified his absolute power and fundamentally reshaped the political landscape of Europe. What vocal technique involves an extended note that rapidly and repeatedly changes pitch between the chest register and falsetto, producing a distinctive high-low sound? Yodeling. Yodeling is a vocal technique that involves rapid and repeated changes in pitch between the normal chest voice and the falsetto register. This distinctive vocalization is commonly associated with folk music from mountainous regions, such as the Alps, and is used to create melodic and often complex vocal patterns. Which early 20th century American novelist authored works such as The Crisis, Crossing, Cornerstone, Mr. Crue's Career, and Far Country? Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, 1871–1947, was a prominent American novelist of the early 20th century, known for his historical novels and political satires. He should not be confused with the British Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill, who was also a prolific writer but primarily of historical and political works. The American novelist's works often explored themes of American history and social issues. For what primary purpose is an auger typically used? To bore a hole. An auger is a drilling device, or drill bit, used for boring holes into surfaces such as wood, soil, or ice. It typically consists of a rotating helical screw blade which acts as a conveyor to remove the drilled material from the hole. Augers are widely used in construction, agriculture, and various other fields requiring precise hole drilling. What was the designation of the first British jet bomber, constructed in 1949 by English Electric? Canberra. The English Electric Canberra was the first British jet bomber, making its maiden flight in 1949. It played a significant role during the Cold War era and was known for its high altitude and speed capabilities. The Canberra served with the Royal Air Force and was also exported to many other nations. Who was granted the patent for the phonograph in 1877? Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, a prolific American inventor, patented the phonograph in 1877, marking a revolutionary advancement in sound recording and reproduction. This invention allowed for the mechanical recording and playback of sound, laying the groundwork for the audio industry. In simplified terms, what principle is described by Bode's law, also known as the Titius-Bode law? It describes an empirical rule that predicts the approximate distances of planets from the Sun in a solar system, suggesting they orbit at regular, mathematically calculable intervals. Bode's law, or the Titius-Bode law, is an empirical rule that attempts to predict the spacing of planets in a solar system. While it provided reasonably accurate predictions for the then-known planets and even the asteroid belt, its lack of a strong theoretical basis and failure for Neptune and Pluto led to it being considered more of a historical curiosity than a fundamental law of physics. Which British monarch was the first to celebrate a Diamond Jubilee? Victoria. Queen Victoria Diamond Jubilee in 1897 marked 60 years on the throne, a significant milestone for a British monarch. This event showcased the peak of the British Empire's power and influence. What was founded in 1560 and, except for intervals in the 17th century, became and continues to be the established church in Scotland? Church of Scotland. The Church of Scotland, a Presbyterian denomination, was established in 1560. It plays a significant role in Scottish national identity and is recognized as the national church, though separate from the state. Where are the Straits of Bonifacio? Between Corsica and Sardinia. The Strait of Bonifacio is a narrow strait located between the French island of Corsica and the Italian island of Sardinia. It is an important navigational channel connecting the Tyrrhenian Sea to the western Mediterranean. What does mix in Roman numerals mean? 1009. In Roman numerals, M represents 1000 and X represents 9, 10 to 1. Therefore, mix translates to 1000 plus 9, which equals 1009. Understanding Roman numeral composition is a fundamental skill. George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards were well known in the British American colonies in the mid-18th century for being what? Methodist preachers. George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards were prominent figures during the Great Awakening in the British American colonies. They were influential evangelical Protestant ministers whose powerful sermons contributed significantly to the religious revival of the mid-18th century. In which of Shakespeare's plays did the Montague and Capulet families appear? Romeo and Juliet. The Montague and Capulet families are the two feuding households in William Shakespeare's tragic play, Romeo and Juliet. Their bitter rivalry forms the central conflict, leading to the untimely deaths of the titular lovers. Who was king of Hungary from 1000 to 1038, changed his name from Vajeke on becoming Christian, and is Hungary's patron saint? Stephen. Stephen I, originally known as Vajeke, was the first king of Hungary, reigning from 1000 to 1038. He played a crucial role in Christianizing Hungary and establishing it as a unified, independent kingdom, becoming its patron saint. What, with the sickle, is a symbol of communism? Hammer. The hammer and sickle is a prominent symbol of communism, representing the alliance between the industrial proletariat, hammer, and the peasantry, sickle. It was famously featured on the flag of the Soviet Union. An outbreak of what in Nigeria affected 5,323 people and killed 333 in the first 3 months of 2009? Meningitis. Meningitis is an inflammation of the protective membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord, typically caused by bacterial or viral infection. Outbreaks, such as the one in Nigeria in 2009, can be severe and rapid spreading, particularly in regions within the meningitis belt of sub-Saharan Africa. The Maoist organization Sendero Luminoso is based in which country? Peru. Sendero Luminoso, or Shining Path, is a communist guerrilla group that launched a brutal insurgency against the Peruvian government starting in 1980. Its campaign was marked by extreme violence and human rights abuses, significantly impacting Peru's political and social landscape. 1 US gallon is equal to how many pints? 8. The US liquid gallon is a unit of volume, legally defined as 231 cubic inches. This standard unit of measurement is equivalent to 8 US liquid pints, 4 US liquid quarts, or approximately 3.785 liters. What voting system for general elections was first implemented in the Australian colony of Tasmania on the 7th of February 1856 and introduced to Britain in 1872 by the Ballot Act? Secret ballot. The secret ballot, also known as the Australian ballot, is a voting method where a voter's choice is confidential. Its implementation was a crucial reform in democratic electoral systems, designed to protect voters from intimidation, coercion, and potential bribery. The best-known works of which sculptor, who aroused hostility over the depiction of sexuality, are 18 large nude sculptures in 1908 for the British Medical Association building on the Strand, the tomb of Oscar Wilde in Père Lachaise Cemetery, Paris, Rush of Green, in Hyde Park, London, and St. Michael's Victory over the Devil, in Coventry Cathedral. Jacob Epstein. Sir Jacob Epstein was a British sculptor of American origin, renowned for his challenging and often controversial works that pushed artistic boundaries. His distinctive, powerful style significantly influenced modern sculpture and sparked considerable public debate. Where would you find the mosques of El Hakim, Amru, Hassan, El Mayad and El Sunkur? Cairo. Cairo, the capital of Egypt, is celebrated for its extensive and rich Islamic architectural heritage, often referred to as the City of 1,000 Minarets. It is home to numerous historic mosques, which stand as significant examples of diverse Islamic artistic and architectural periods. On July 6, 2007, the IOC approved what new venture to complement the Olympic Games, starting in 2010? Youth Games, for athletes between the ages of 14 and 18. The Youth Olympic Games, YOG, is an international multi-sport event organized by the International Olympic Committee, IOC, for young athletes aged 14 to 18. Its purpose is to inspire youth worldwide to embrace sports, culture, and the Olympic values. Sir Mortimer Wheeler was connected with what activity? Archaeology. Sir Mortimer Wheeler was a highly influential British archaeologist and officer in the British Army, celebrated for his significant excavations in India and Britain. He played a pivotal role in refining archaeological methodology and greatly popularized the field through his engaging public outreach. The novels The Warden, Barchester Towers, Drivethorn, Framley Parsonage, The Small House of Allington, and Last Chronicle of Barset are collectively known as what? The Barsetshire Novels. The Barsetshire Novels are a series of 6 novels by Anthony Trollope, published between 1855 and 1867. They offer a satirical look at the Anglican clergy and gentry in the fictional English county of Barsetshire during the mid-Victorian era. These works are known for their intricate character development and social commentary. Which US government official is the equivalent of the British Foreign Secretary? Secretary of State. In the United States, the Secretary of State is the head of the Department of State, responsible for foreign policy and international relations. This role is considered the direct equivalent to the Foreign Secretary in the United Kingdom, who leads the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. Who was defense counsel at the Oz conspiracy trial in 1971 and defended the Sex Pistols in a 1977 obscenity trial over the title of their album, Never Mind the Bollocks? John Mortimer. John Mortimer was a prominent British barrister and author, best known for creating the Rumpole of the Bailey series. He was involved in several high-profile obscenity trials, including the Oz magazine conspiracy trial in 1971 and the defense of the Sex Pistols album title in 1977, upholding principles of free expression. The Napa Valley wine-producing region is in which country? USA. Napa Valley is a renowned wine-producing region located in Northern California, United States. It is internationally celebrated for its world-class wines, particularly Cabernet Sauvignon, and is a major tourist destination for wine tasting and culinary experiences. Which commedia dell'arte character was servant to the Innamorata, and the daughter of Pantaloon and courted by Harlequin? Columbine. Columbine is a classic character from commedia dell'arte, an early form of professional theatre originating in Italy. She is typically depicted as the clever and charming servant girl, often the daughter of Pantaloon and the love interest of Harlequin, known for her wit and lively personality. What was the English court case about in 1670, when the judge withheld food, water, and toilet facilities from jurors for 3 days as he was unsatisfied with their first decision and, when they returned a not guilty verdict, fined them? William Penn was accused of preaching Quakerism to an unlawful assembly. This describes Bushell's case, 1670, a landmark English legal proceeding that established the independence of juries from judicial coercion. The jurors, including Edward Bushell, acquitted William Penn despite pressure from the judge, leading to their imprisonment and eventual release through habeas corpus, solidifying the right of juries to deliver verdicts according to their conscience. Dermatitis affects what part of the body? Skin. Dermatitis refers to a general inflammation of the skin, characterized by redness, itching, and often a rash. It is a common medical condition with various causes, including allergic reactions, irritants, and genetic predispositions, impacting the outermost protective layer of the human body. Where did Pluto, discovered in 1930, and designated a planet at the time, get its name? Greek legend. Pluto was named after the Roman god of the underworld, equivalent to Hades in Greek mythology. The name was proposed by an 11-year-old English girl, Vanisha Burney, and was chosen due to the celestial body's distant and dark location in the solar system. What event, organized by Catherine de' Medici, Queen Mother of France, to crush the Huguenots in August 1572 at the wedding of Henry of Navarre to Marguerite, sister of Charles IX, resulted in the death of around 30,000 people? Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Day. The St. Bartholomew's Day massacre was a series of targeted assassinations, followed by mob violence, directed against the Huguenots, French Calvinist Protestants, during the French Wars of Religion. Beginning on August 24, 1572, this event is considered one of the deadliest religious massacres in French history. The Pyrenees mountain range is located on which continent? Europe. The Pyrenees are a mountain range in southwestern Europe that forms a natural border between France and Spain. They stretch for approximately 491 kilometers, 305 miles, from the Bay of Biscay to the Mediterranean Sea. Where would one find the famous Koh-i-Noor and Cullinan diamonds? British Crown Jewels. The Koh-i-Noor and Cullinan are two of the world's most renowned diamonds, both part of the British Crown Jewels. The Koh-i-Noor has a controversial history, originating in India, while the Cullinan is the largest gem-quality rough diamond ever found, discovered in South Africa. Who authored the influential book, Unsafe at Any Speed, published in 1965, which criticized the US car industry? Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader's Unsafe at Any Speed exposed safety defects in American automobiles, particularly the Chevrolet Corvair. This seminal work significantly influenced consumer protection movements and led to the passage of the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act of 1966, profoundly impacting automotive safety regulations. What is considered the only period of joint rule by monarchs in the history of England? William III and Mary II. William III and Mary II reigned jointly as King and Queen of England, Scotland, and Ireland from 1689 until Mary's death in 1694. Their joint accession, following the Glorious Revolution, established a constitutional monarchy and resulted in the enactment of the Bill of Rights. What is the primary material composing the Sun? Gas. The Sun, like other stars, is primarily composed of hot plasma, which is an ionized gas. Its main constituents are hydrogen, about 73% by mass, and helium, about 25% by mass, with trace amounts of other elements. Which French naval officer is credited with co-inventing the aqua lung? Jacques-Yves Cousteau. Jacques-Yves Cousteau, a French naval officer, explorer, and filmmaker, co-invented the aqua lung, scuba, in 1943 with Émile Gagnon. This invention revolutionized underwater exploration by allowing divers to breathe autonomously underwater. Which significant historical event, occurring in 1215, is associated with Runnymede? King John signed the Magna Carta. Runnymede is historically significant as the site where King John of England sealed the Magna Carta on June 15, 1215. This charter established fundamental rights and limited the power of the monarch, influencing constitutional law worldwide. What is a mantilla? A type of scarf or veil worn over the head and shoulders. A mantilla is a traditional Spanish and Latin American lace or silk veil or shawl, typically worn by women over the head and shoulders. Historically, it was worn in churches or during formal occasions as part of traditional attire. In Greek mythology, what is the collective name for the one-eyed giants? Cyclopes. In Greek mythology, the Cyclopes are a race of primordial giants, each possessing a single large eye in the middle of their forehead. They are known for their immense strength and are featured in various myths, most notably in Homer's Odyssey. To which biological kingdom does a stinkhorn belong? Fungus. Stinkhorns are a distinctive group of fungi, Fallaceae family, known for their foul-smelling, often phallus-shaped fruiting bodies. They play an ecological role as decomposers, and their odor attracts insects for spore dispersal. O'Hare International Airport serves which city? Chicago. O'Hare International Airport, ORD, is one of the world's busiest airports, located in Chicago, Illinois. It serves as a major hub for domestic and international travel, significantly contributing to the city's economy and global connectivity. Which cross has the upright longer than the transverse piece, and has a circle around the head, join? Celtic cross. The Celtic cross is a distinctive symbol originating in early medieval Ireland and Britain, characterized by a Latin cross with a nimbus or ring surrounding the intersection of the shaft and the arms. It is a prominent symbol of Celtic Christianity and cultural heritage. When did the Marylebone Cricket Club, MCC, first lay down the laws of cricket? 1788. The Marylebone Cricket Club, MCC, founded in 1787, became the recognized authority for the laws of cricket. In 1788, the MCC formally codified these laws, establishing standardized rules that continue to be the foundation of modern cricket worldwide. Who, on the 2nd of October 1925, transmitted a picture of William Tainton, an office boy from the offices on the floor below his laboratory at 22 Frith Street in Soho, London, from one room to another? John Logie Baird. John Logie Baird, a Scottish engineer, is widely recognized as one of the inventors of mechanical television. On October 2, 1925, he achieved the first successful transmission of a true television image of a human face in his London laboratory, marking a significant milestone in broadcasting history. On the 17th of September 1862, where was the Battle of Antietam, the first major battle in the American Civil War to take place on northern soil and the bloodiest single-day battle in American history, with about 23,000 casualties. Near Sharpsburg, Maryland. The Battle of Antietam, fought on September 17, 1862, near Sharpsburg, Maryland, was a pivotal engagement of the American Civil War. It was the first major battle to occur on Union soil and remains the bloodiest single-day battle in American history, leading President Lincoln to issue the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation. Who was jailed for 150 years in June 2009 for investor fraud after being reported to federal authorities by his sons? Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff was an American financier who orchestrated the largest Ponzi scheme in history, defrauding thousands of investors of billions of dollars. His crimes came to light in December 2008, and he was sentenced to 150 years in prison in June 2009, marking it as a prominent case of financial malfeasance. What is the accounting term for a liability that may arise if a future event does not happen? Contingent liability. A contingent liability is a potential obligation whose existence depends on the outcome of a future event. It is recorded if the likelihood of the event occurring is probable and the amount can be reasonably estimated, otherwise, it is disclosed in the financial statements. For what did William Kemmler, then at New York's Auburn prison, become famous on the 6th of August 1890? The first person to be executed via the electric chair. William Kemmler was the first person in history to be executed by electric chair on August 6, 1890, at Auburn Prison, New York. This event marked a controversial shift in capital punishment methods, intended by its proponents to be a more humane alternative to hanging. Who, in 1794, patented the cotton gin, that enabled cotton fibers to be plucked from seeds mechanically? Eli Whitney. Eli Whitney patented the cotton gin in 1794, a machine that revolutionized the cotton industry by efficiently separating cotton fibers from their seeds. This invention significantly increased cotton production in the southern United States, inadvertently strengthening the institution of slavery. Queen Elizabeth I of England was from which royal house? Tudor. Queen Elizabeth I was the last monarch of the House of Tudor, reigning over England and Ireland from 1558 to 1603. Her reign, known as the Elizabethan era, was a period of significant cultural flourishing, exploration, and the establishment of England as a major European power. What word describes the spread of cancer from one organ or part to another non-adjacent organ or part? Metastasis. Metastasis is the process by which cancer cells detach from the primary tumor and spread to distant organs or tissues, forming new tumors. This dissemination makes cancer more challenging to treat and is a hallmark of advanced stages of the disease. James, son of Mary Queen of Scots, who was executed for treason during the reign of Elizabeth I, was the first to use which title? King of Great Britain. James VI of Scotland, son of Mary Queen of Scots, became James I of England upon Elizabeth I's death, thus uniting the crowns of Scotland and England. He was the first monarch to style himself King of Great Britain, symbolizing the union of the two kingdoms. What is the first geological period of the Paleozoic era? Cambrian. The Cambrian period, spanning roughly from 541 to 485 million years ago, marks the beginning of the Paleozoic era. It is famous for the Cambrian explosion, a period of rapid diversification of most major animal phyla. Where is the British royal yacht, Britannia, decommissioned in 1997, permanently moored as a visitor attraction? Ocean Terminal, Leith, Edinburgh, Scotland. The Royal Yacht Britannia served the British royal family from 1954 to 1997, traveling over 1 million nautical miles worldwide. Since its decommissioning, it has been permanently moored at Ocean Terminal in Leith, Edinburgh, Scotland, and operates as a popular 5-star visitor attraction and events venue. A cubit, an ancient unit of measurement, was derived from what? The distance of the forearm from index fingertip to elbow. The cubit was an ancient unit of length, primarily based on the length of the forearm from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. Its exact length varied between cultures and times, but it was widely used in ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and many other civilizations for construction and trade. What military strategy involves destroying anything that might be useful to the enemy while passing through an area, first used by the Scythians against King Darius the Great of Persia around 500 BC, and best known for its use by both sides when Germany attacked and then retreated from the USSR in World War II? Scorched earth. Scorched earth is a military strategy that involves destroying anything that could be useful to the enemy, such as food sources, infrastructure, and other resources. This tactic aims to impede the enemy's advance, deny them supplies, or prevent their consolidation of control over conquered territory. The state of Indiana borders which Great Lake? Michigan. Indiana is one of the 8 U.S. states bordering the Great Lakes. Specifically, it shares a border with Lake Michigan in its northwest region, providing access to the significant freshwater body. Which character in a play has a soliloquy that begins, "To be or not to be"? That is the question. Hamlet. This iconic soliloquy is delivered by Prince Hamlet in William Shakespeare's tragedy, Hamlet. It explores themes of life, death, and existential doubt, making it one of the most famous passages in English literature. What range of hills runs approximately 50 miles from the Worcestershire border through Gloucestershire to the River Avon in England? Cotswolds. The Cotswolds are a designated area of outstanding natural beauty, AONB, in central southwest England. Known for their rolling hills, picturesque villages, and distinct limestone geology, they are a significant geographical and cultural landscape. What is the botanical term used to describe the arrangement or collection of flowers on a plant axis, especially when there is more than one flower? Inflorescence. In botany, an inflorescence refers to the complete flower head of a plant, including stems, bracts, and flowers. This arrangement can vary greatly among species and is a key feature used in plant identification and classification. What colossal bronze statue of the Greek sun god Apollo stood for approximately 56 years before being destroyed by an earthquake in ancient Rhodes? Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, erected in the city of Rhodes, Greece, around 280 BC. This massive statue, commemorating a military victory, served as a landmark and symbol of the city's power until its destruction. For what notable achievement did 17-year-old Zach Sunderland gain international attention in July 2009? Sailing around the world solo. Zach Sunderland became the first person under the age of 18 to successfully circumnavigate the globe solo. His journey began in June 2008 and concluded in July 2009, making him a record-breaking figure in global sailing history. What is recognized as the oldest missionary organization within the Church of England? Society for Promoting Christian Knowledge, SPCK. Founded in 1698, the SPCK is the oldest Anglican mission society. It plays a significant role in promoting Christian education, publishing theological works, and supporting missionary activities worldwide, contributing to both religious and literary history. In the field of economics, what does the acronym TWI stand for? Trade Weighted Index. A trade-weighted index, TWI, is an economic indicator that measures the average value of a country's currency relative to a basket of foreign currencies, weighted by the proportion of trade with each country. It provides a more comprehensive view of a currency's strength than bilateral exchange rates. If someone is referred to as a Liverpudlian, which city do they come from? Liverpool. A Liverpudlian is a demonym for a person from Liverpool, a major port city in northwest England. Demonyms are terms used to refer to residents of a particular place, often derived from the city or region's name. What is the name for the point on the Earth's surface that is directly above an earthquake? Epicenter. The epicenter is the point on the Earth's surface directly above the hypocenter, or focus, which is the origin point of an earthquake within the Earth. It is a critical geographical reference for seismic activity and impact assessment. Who was behind the 1923 Beer Hall Putsch, a failed attempt to overthrow the government? Adolf Hitler. The Beer Hall Putsch was a failed coup d'état by Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in Munich, Bavaria, on November 8–9, 1923. Although it failed and led to Hitler's imprisonment, it brought him national attention and provided a platform for him to articulate his political ideology in Mein Kampf. How heavy is a US ton? 2,000 pounds, 907 kilograms. A US ton, also known as a short ton, is a unit of weight equivalent to 2,000 pounds. This measurement differs from the imperial ton, long ton, used in the United Kingdom, which equals 2,240 pounds, and the metric ton, which is 1,000 kilograms. Which Scottish biologist and pharmacologist, who published many articles on bacteriology, immunology, and chemotherapy, discovered the enzyme lysozyme in 1923 and an antibiotic substance from a fungus in 1928? Alexander Fleming. Alexander Fleming was a Scottish physician and microbiologist renowned for his groundbreaking scientific contributions. He is most famous for his discovery of penicillin in 1928, which revolutionized medicine by ushering in the era of antibiotics, and also for his earlier discovery of the enzyme lysozyme in 1923. What is the collective name for the islands with a land area of 4,167 square kilometers, 1,622 square miles, spread over 2,500,000 square kilometers, 965,255 square miles, of ocean, made up of several groups of islands, including the Austral Islands, the Marquesas, the Society Islands, and the Tuamotu Archipelago? French Polynesia. French Polynesia is an overseas collectivity of France located in the South Pacific, consisting of 118 geographically dispersed islands and atolls. This vast maritime territory is renowned for its diverse island groups, including famous destinations like Tahiti and Bora Bora, and boasts unique biodiversity and rich cultural heritage. Which element, with a melting point of 3,370 degrees Celsius, was discovered in 1783 by Juan José and Fausto Eluer? Tungsten. Tungsten is a chemical element renowned for having the highest melting point of all known metals, making it critical for high-temperature applications. It was first isolated by the Spanish brothers Juan José and Fausto Eluer in 1783. Its high density and hardness also make it valuable in various industrial uses. Salvador Allende, General Augusto Pinochet, and the Caravan of Death are all connected with the history of which country in the 1970s and 1980s? Chile. Salvador Allende, the democratically elected socialist president of Chile, was overthrown by a military coup led by General Augusto Pinochet in 1973. The Caravan of Death refers to a military squad that executed political prisoners in the aftermath of the coup, marking a dark period of human rights abuses in Chilean history during the 1970s and 1980s. What was the first name of Señor Domingo, one of the three tenors? Placido. Placido Domingo is one of the world's most renowned opera singers, famous for his versatility and dramatic voice. He was one of the three tenors, alongside Luciano Pavarotti and José Carreras, who gained immense global popularity by performing together, especially at major sporting events, broadening the appeal of opera. Where did United Airlines Flight 93, hijacked by terrorists on the 11th of September 2001, crash? Pennsylvania. United Airlines Flight 93 was one of 4 planes hijacked during the September 11, 2001, terrorist attacks in the United States. The passengers and crew courageously fought back against the hijackers, preventing the plane from reaching its intended target, believed to be the U.S. Capitol or the White House. It ultimately crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. What is the main intelligence service of Israel? Mossad. The Mossad is the national intelligence agency of Israel, primarily responsible for intelligence collection, covert operations, and counterterrorism activities outside Israel's borders. It is one of the principal entities in the Israeli intelligence community, alongside Aman, military intelligence, and Shin Bet, internal security. Suede is a variety of what? Leather. Suede is a type of leather made from the underside of an animal hide, giving it a soft, napped surface. It is commonly used for jackets, shoes, bags, and other accessories due to its distinctive texture, offering a luxurious feel. Which early 20th century artist gained a reputation for the beauty and novelty of his staging of operas, plays, and ballets, especially in Paris, London, Berlin, and New York? Sergei Diaghilev. Sergei Diaghilev was an influential Russian art critic, patron, ballet impresario, and founder of the ballets Russers, which revolutionized dance and theatrical production in the early 20th century. His innovative collaborations with leading artists, composers, and choreographers profoundly impacted modern art, music, and dance. What type of animal is a merino? Sheep. The merino is a breed of sheep highly prized for its very fine and soft wool. Originating from Spain, it is one of the most economically important sheep breeds globally for wool production. Which state borders South Dakota to its north? North Dakota. North Dakota is located directly to the north of South Dakota. Both states are part of the Great Plains region of the United States and share a long, straight border. In 1959, what significant achievement was accomplished by the Soviet space probe Luna 2? It became the first man-made object to reach the moon. Luna 2 was a Soviet robotic spacecraft launched in 1959, becoming the first man-made object to make contact with the moon. This mission was a major milestone in the early space race, preceding the first human landing by a decade. What was the name of the code of Roman law officially promulgated by the Roman Republic around 450 BC? The 12 Tables. The Law of the 12 Tables was a foundational set of laws inscribed on bronze tablets, forming the basis of Roman law. It provided an early framework for legal rights and duties for both patricians and plebeians in the Roman Republic. Mastitis is a medical condition primarily affecting which type of animal? Dairy cows. Mastitis is a widespread and economically significant inflammatory disease of the mammary gland, primarily affecting dairy cows. It is often caused by bacterial infection and can severely impact milk quality and production. Who printed his own translations of a French romance, The Recueil of the Histories of Troy, and The Game and Plays of the Chessy, in Bruges in 1474? William Caxton. William Caxton was an English merchant, diplomat, and writer, notable for introducing the printing press to England in 1476. His translations and printings, such as the Recueil of the Histories of Troy, were among the first books printed in English, marking a pivotal moment in the history of English literature and the dissemination of knowledge. Where do the rivers Dart, Tawe, Tyne and Oakmont rise? Dartmoor. Dartmoor, a vast moorland in Devon, England, is recognized as a significant watershed. Numerous rivers, including the Dart, Tawe, Tyne, and Oakmont, originate within its granite uplands, flowing into the English Channel and the Bristol Channel. This region is vital for water supply and diverse ecosystems. General Victoriano Huerta, Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa feature in the history of which country? Mexico. Victoriano Huerta, Emiliano Zapata, and Pancho Villa were key figures during the Mexican Revolution, a turbulent period of social and political upheaval between 1910 and 1920. Their respective roles as military leaders and revolutionaries profoundly impacted Mexico's political landscape, land reforms, and national identity. What name was given by the Greeks to cave dwellers who supposedly lived in the Caucasus or on the banks of the Red Sea? Troglodytes. The term, troglodytes, originated from ancient Greek, meaning, one who enters a hole. It was used by historians like Herodotus to describe various groups of cave-dwelling people, reflecting early ethnographic observations of human settlements and cultural practices in different geographical regions. Duke Kahanamoku, who won Olympic gold in swimming, 100 meters freestyle, in 1912 at Stockholm and 1920 at Antwerp, popularized what sport? Surfing. Duke Kahanamoku, an Olympic swimming champion from Hawaii, is widely credited with popularizing the ancient Hawaiian sport of surfing globally. Through his travels and demonstrations, he introduced surfing to various parts of the world, fostering its growth into an international sport and cultural phenomenon. What collection includes 3 king's crowns, 3 queen's crowns, 5 scepters, 2 orbs, St. Edward's staff, 5 swords and 2 bracelets? Britain's crown jewels. Britain's crown jewels are a historic collection of royal ceremonial objects, including crowns, scepters, and orbs, symbolizing the British monarchy's power and tradition. Housed in the Tower of London, they are used in significant state events like coronations, representing centuries of royal heritage and craftsmanship. Which sport was included in only one Olympic Games, in Paris in 1900, when competition was between the Devon and Somerset Wanderers, representing England, and a team from the British Embassy in Paris, representing France? Cricket. Cricket made its sole appearance as an official event at the 1900 Paris Olympic Games. The unusual competition featured 2 teams, effectively representing Great Britain and France, highlighting an early and rare instance of the sport on the Olympic stage before its current global recognition. In the human body, the adrenal glands are directly above which organ? Kidney. Adrenal glands are endocrine glands located superior to the kidneys. They produce various hormones, including adrenaline and cortisol, which regulate metabolism, immune system, blood pressure, and stress response. In which country does over half of the population live on reclaimed land? The Netherlands. The Netherlands is renowned for its extensive land reclamation projects, with approximately 26% of its land area being below sea level. A significant portion of its population resides in polders, which are low-lying tracts of land enclosed by dikes, primarily in the western part of the country. What shape are the 12 faces of a dodecahedron? Pentagons. A dodecahedron is a polyhedron with 12 flat faces. In a regular dodecahedron, these 12 faces are congruent regular pentagons, and each vertex is shared by 3 faces. What Greek mythological female monster has the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and the rear of a dragon? Chimera. In Greek mythology, the chimera was a monstrous fire-breathing female creature, composed of the parts of multiple animals. She typically had the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and a serpent's tail, and was famously slain by the hero Bellerophon with the aid of Pegasus. Who set a world land speed record of over 400 miles per hour at Bonneville, Utah, USA, and was killed attempting a new water speed record on Loch Ness in September 1952? John Cobb. John Cobb was a British racing driver who achieved a land speed record of 394.196 miles per hour in 1947 at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Tragically, he died in September 1952 while attempting to break the world water speed record on Loch Ness in his jet-powered boat, the Crusader. Mary Quant became famous in the 1960s for designing what? Clothes. Mary Quant was a prominent British fashion designer who rose to fame in the 1960s. She is widely credited with popularizing the miniskirt and hot pants, revolutionizing women's fashion and embodying the youthful, rebellious spirit of the swinging 60s. What was the name of the plane that Amy Johnson flew solo from Britain to Australia in 1930? Jason. Amy Johnson was a pioneering English aviator who, in 1930, became the first woman to fly solo from Britain to Australia. She undertook this historic journey in a de Havilland Gypsy Moth biplane, which she named Jason. What central London street is famous for containing the main government offices? Whitehall. Whitehall is a major road in the city of Westminster, central London, renowned as the administrative heart of the United Kingdom. It is lined with numerous government departments and ministries, making it synonymous with the British civil service and central governance. Who wrote Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures? Mary Baker Eddy. Mary Baker Eddy was the founder of Christian Science, a religious movement. This book, published in 1875, is the foundational text of Christian Science and outlines its theological system, emphasizing spiritual healing. What type of building is famous in Milan, Venice, Florence, Seville, Paris, Chartres, Amiens, Reims, Cologne, Mainz and Tarbes? Cathedral. Cathedrals are magnificent architectural and religious landmarks found across Europe, often representing peak examples of Gothic or Romanesque styles. They served as pivotal centers for spiritual, cultural, and civic life during the medieval period and continue to be significant historical sites. An ophthalmologist treats disorders of what part of the body? Eyes. An ophthalmologist is a medical doctor specializing in comprehensive eye and vision care. Their expertise includes diagnosing and treating eye diseases, prescribing corrective lenses, performing eye surgery, and managing eye conditions like glaucoma or cataracts. What is the name of the sandbank in the North Sea between Britain and Denmark that is famous as a fishing ground? Dogger Bank. The Dogger Bank is a large, shallow sandbank located in the central part of the North Sea. Historically, it has been a significant and productive fishing ground for various European countries due to its rich marine biodiversity. Who was the last head of state of the USSR, serving from 1988 until 1991, and the only Soviet leader to have been born after the October Revolution of 1917? Gorbachev. Mikhail Gorbachev was the final leader of the Soviet Union, known for his reform policies of glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. His leadership marked the end of the Cold War and the eventual dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991.